Dale's story is about a husband who came home to a party he wasn't invited to. What he learned next changed everything. Before we begin, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And comment below, which country and city are you watching from?
I didn't even know there was going to be a party until I saw the balloons. I came home from work that Friday evening exhausted, carrying my laptop bag in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. The driveway was full, not just one extra car, but 5. People I didn't recognize. Music was coming from inside, loud enough to vibrate the windows. I stood there for a second, confused, like I'd walked up to the wrong house. Then I opened the front door. Our living room was packed, string lights, snacks set up like a buffet, drinks everywhere, laughter, my wife in a shiny dress, holding a wine glass like she was hosting an event. And she looked surprised to see me. That's what hurt first. Not the party. Not the noise. The fact that my own wife looked surprised that I walked into my own home. For a second, I just stood there in the doorway trying to process it. People turned their heads and stared like I was an unexpected guest, like I should have knocked. My wife rushed over quickly and grabbed my arm, smiling too hard. Hey, you're home early. I stared at her. What is this? She laughed lightly, the fake laugh people use when they want you to relax. It's just a little get-together, nothing big. A get-together, I repeated, in our house. Yeah, she said, still smiling. I thought it would be fun. The girls from work wanted to come over. I looked around again. These weren't just girls from work. There were men too, couples, people dressed like they expected a night out. And in the middle of it all was my wife acting like this was totally normal. I should have asked why she didn't tell me. I should have demanded answers. Instead, I swallowed my anger because embarrassing her in front of people felt wrong. So I did what a lot of husbands do when they don't want drama. I smiled. I said okay. And I walked into my own kitchen like I belonged there. But the moment I stepped inside, I felt it. The energy. That uncomfortable pause people do when they're hiding something. A few people said hi awkwardly. Someone asked what I did for work. Another guy patted my shoulder like we were old friends, but nobody looked relaxed. It felt like the room was performing. My wife stayed close to me the first few minutes, laughing loudly at my jokes that weren't even funny, like she was trying to convince everyone, especially herself, that everything was fine. Then slowly she began drifting away. She kept leaving me standing alone while she moved around serving drinks, talking in corners, laughing with people who clearly knew more than I did. And that's when the strange part started. I realized no one was really talking to me. Not in a normal party way. They were polite but distant. Like I was the teacher who walked into the classroom and everyone suddenly remembered they had homework. I watched my wife from across the room. She wasn't acting like she usually did with me. She wasn't checking on me. She was including me. She was glowing, energized, like she was living in a version of life where I didn't exist. That alone would have been painful. But then I saw him. A tall guy near the dining table, confident, perfect hair, the kind of man who looks like he knows he's attractive. He wasn't looking at the room, he was looking at my wife. And my wife was looking back. Not just casually. Not like coworkers. Her smile was softer when she looked at him. Her eyes stayed on him longer. She touched her hair in that unconscious way people do when they want someone to notice them. I tried to ignore it, tried to tell myself I was imagining things. But then she walked over to him and leaned in close to say something, and he laughed, and she laughed too. The kind of laugh she used to give me when we were dating. My stomach sank. I walked over slowly, trying to act normal. I didn't want to be the jealous husband creating a scene. I just wanted to understand what was happening. When I got close enough, my wife noticed me and stiffened slightly. That tiny reaction told me everything. People don't stiffen around their husband unless they're hiding something. She introduced me, but it felt rushed. This is my husband, she said. Just that. No name. No warmth. Like I was an accessory. The guy extended his hand. Nice to meet you, man. I'm Jason. I shook his hand, firm grip, confident smile. I asked, how do you know my wife? He glanced at her first, like checking if he was allowed to answer. She works with me, he said quickly, marketing. Marketing, the word hit my brain because my wife had mentioned that department lately. And she had mentioned Jason once too, just casually, like he wasn't important. Jason is funny, she said once. Jason helped with a project. Now he was in my house. At a party I wasn't invited to. I watched them talk for a moment and felt something ugly rising in my chest. It wasn't just suspicion, it was humiliation, like I was standing in my own life as an outsider. I pulled my wife aside into the hallway. "What is going on?" I asked quietly. Her smile disappeared instantly. She whispered, "Not here." "Why didn't you tell me about this party?" I asked. She rolled her eyes like I was being difficult. "Because I knew you react like this." I felt my jaw tighten, like what, confused about strangers in my home. She sighed, "It's just work, people. I wanted one night without you being you." That sentence hit harder than anything else that night. One night without you being you. Like my presence was a problem, like I was a burden. I asked, "So you didn't invite me?" She stared at me annoyed, then she said, "I didn't think you'd be home." I took a slow breath. "You planned this party around me not being here." She didn't deny it. And right there in that hallway, I understood the real reason I was left out. It wasn't a surprise party. It wasn't a harmless gathering. It was a version of her life where I didn't fit. I walked back into the living room and looked around with new eyes. The couples, the coworkers, the flirting energy, the way Jason kept finding excuses to stand near my wife. This wasn't just social. It was personal. And then I noticed something that made my stomach flip. Our wedding photo, usually on the shelf in the living room, was gone. I scanned the room again. She had removed it. As if she didn't want it seen. As if she didn't want to explain who she belonged to. My throat went dry. I felt heat behind my eyes, not tears, rage, and heartbreak fighting for space. I walked upstairs without saying anything. I grabbed my car keys and came back down. My wife followed me. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice suddenly nervous. I looked at her and said the calmest sentence I've ever said in my life. "I'm leaving so you can have the party you wanted." She blinked, shocked. "Don't do this." "Don't do what?" I asked. "Walk out of my own humiliation." She stepped closer. "You're overreacting. It's just a party." I shook my head. "No, it's not." I looked past her into the living room, where Jason was watching us like he was waiting to see if he'd won. I lowered my voice. "You didn't tell me because you didn't want me here, and I'm not going to beg my wife to include me in my own marriage." She started crying, real tears this time. "I didn't mean it like that." But actions mean more than intentions. I left. That night, I sat in my car in a quiet parking lot and realized something painful. Being left out of a party isn't the worst thing that can happen in a marriage. The worst thing is being left out of your spouse's life. Later, I learned the truth from one of her coworkers who messaged me privately. She said my wife had been telling people we were basically separated, that the marriage was complicated, that she didn't want people judging her. That was the real reason I was the only one left out. She didn't want them to see me because I didn't match the story she was selling. And once I understood that, everything changed. Because when a person starts hiding you, they're not protecting your feelings. They're protecting their options. And I refused to be someone's secret in my own marriage.